What'd you take out of that game?
Minnesota's good. that defense played very well. They're not turning the football over. That was a huge component of why they won that game. I think they were just more physical. I think they were faster on the football field than the Giants were last night. Too many errors, I see. I just heard the conversation that was going on before I actually got on the call, and I think I said something about that last week as far as with Odell, as far as if I'm the defensive coordinator of the whatever team that's playing them next.
Green Bay.
I'm trying to figure out a way. Yeah, so it's Green Bay. I'm just saying in general, whatever the next team is, I'm trying to figure out, how can I get under his skin, because that has been shown to make him ineffective or not as effective as he can be when guys are, maybe just trying to play him straight up. You can take in some psychological gains to kind of make him more, less effective. And obviously there's a few more things in there, but, for the most part, they just didn't play well enough to win.
And also, with Rainey and Perkins in there, and then you lose Larry Donnell, it just seemed like not being on the same page. Can you explain that away by having so many inexperienced guys there asked to protect Eli during that game?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excuse. But at the end of the day, no one in this league ever wants to hear about excuses. No one cares about excuses. Every guy on that football field, regardless if he's a backup or if he's a Pro Bowler, he's expected to come in when he's called upon and help the football team out. And obviously, like I said, it's a viable excuse that they're banged up right now. But, Green Bay doesn't care. Washington didn't care. Minnesota didn't care. So, I think the onus is on the coaching staff from that perspective is to make sure the guys that are going to be called on in those emergency situations are, in some regards ready. I mean, you can't give them the same amount of reps that you give your starters, but you have to have those guys ready to go in those situations. I think Perkins came in and did a pretty good job. I think Rainey did a pretty good job. So I wouldn't necessarily put that too much onus on that as far as, them not playing well. Obviously, I don't know where timing comes in on some plays with Eli because I'm not in that locker room. I'm not in that meeting room. But, like I said, guys got to be expected to come in and pick up the slack.
Now, Justin, what is the solution with Odell? I mean, I'm not sure that it should all fall on the players because they've got jobs to do as well. So how do you stop this guy?
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. It has a lot of the onus has to be on him. I mean, it has to be. I think he has to be able to see that this is negatively affecting the team and himself. He hasn't played or he hasn't had the stats or the contribution to the team that he's normally had in the previous 2 years. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. Obviously, people are paying more attention to him. He's seeing a lot of bracket coverage, blah, 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 blah. But he has to see that, when he blows up like this, it affects how he plays. When he's calm, when he's out there letting the game come to him, he's probably, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. Definitely top 5. So I don't understand how he doesn't see that. And you can talk people till they're blue in the face. I saw guys, go up to him and try to, encourage him, try to, talk some sense in him, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't seem to be working right now. And, I think there could be some underlying issues there. I don't necessarily know what they are because, again, I'm not in that locker room, but it has to be something there that, somebody that's close to him on his team has to be able to pull him aside and in some ways right that ship because he's too valuable to the team for these things to continue to happen.
Justin, I'll tell you what, I look at the Giants and I see an ultra-conservative organization. I mean, you were there a long time, And the only player that I can compare that acted like this and ended up getting off the Giants was Jeremy Shockey. And it seemed like nobody could get to Jeremy Shockey, and he pouted and he went nuts on the sideline, and eventually he was out and didn't enjoy the Super Bowl. I mean, can you think of anybody else on the Giants that has this sort of outsized personality that doesn't seem to be able to control their emotions?
That's a great analogy. And it's funny because, I was talking to a friend, a couple of days ago, before this game, a couple of days ago about it, and that's the name that he brought up. I mean, it's very similar. Both were super talented. Jeremy is, his introduction to the league was, one of the most impressive I've ever seen from any position. Same with Odell now, and it seems like they're going down similar paths. And I hope that Odell can see that. I hope he can see that. How valuable he is to this team, how valuable he is to. Regardless of if you say Giants, whatever, for the rest of his career, he's going to be a valuable asset to whatever team he's on. If he does not allow these emotional things to continue to happen, because none of us is exempt. None of us are greater than the entity of the NFL, and at a certain point, you have to think that the talent level has to always outweigh the negative, and whenever that equation doesn't equal, or the talent level is not greater than the risk or whatever you want to call it on the back end, then teams are going to get rid of you. And I've seen it happen to the most talented person. I've seen it happen to obviously the others. So I'm hoping that. He can right this ship. I hope it's nothing, because a lot of times you got to point to, like, oh, is it a family issue, blah, blah. I hope it's nothing like that. I just hope it's his competitiveness getting the best of him, and he's learning and deal with it, and in turn he will learn to deal with it. I think that issue there is easier to deal with and to overcome than some of the other ones that, might be this problem.
Well, listening to him talk, Justin, he believes he's being treated unfairly. He believes he's being targeted, not just by the opposition, but by the officials. In the games that you've seen, is there some truth to that?
I don't know. I know he's going to be treated differently from a defensive perspective. He is going to be targeted. He is going to be, I equate to, playing with Michael Strahan. Offenses wanted to know where a guy like Michael Strahan was on the football field. He early in my career, if me and Michael was on the same field, I didn't see the same blocks as Michael because he was going to get double teamed. He was going to get, chip blocked out. When I was a rookie, I don't think I ever got double teamed. I got 3 rushes. Whereas now with Odell, it's the same thing. He's not. Guys are going to be physical with him. They're gonna take these little cheap shots at him because they know that could push his buttons to get him out of his game. He's gonna see different types of coverages the other guys are gonna see. But that's part of the heavy is the crown. We always say, in our D-line room, we always say heavy is the crown. If you're the king, you have to bear the crown. And that's part of it. That's why guys like that get paid the more money. That's why guys like that get the head and shoulders deals. That's why guys like that are always on your TV because heavy is the crown. You you can't sit there and cry about it. You should look at it as almost, it's the league telling you, or the guys that's going against you telling you you're that good, because we got to figure out ways to, to combat what he's doing to us.
Now, Justin, I want you to hear something that Odell Beckham Jr. told our very own Anita Marks. She just reported this on NFL Live at 3 p.m. On ESPN. He told her he's, quote, not having fun anymore. Football is my sanctuary. It's where I go to escape. It's where I'm most happy. I'm not having fun anymore. I mean, I understand the theory here, but this is a big business. Having fun. Go perform.
Trust me, I've ran into issues like that with guys, and I've ran into issues myself. And at the end of the day, you have to weigh, and for your personal sanity, you have to weigh it. You have to weigh it. Is the stress, and because football is a stressful game. Everybody thinks it's just a game that's a child's game you go out and play. No, the big, like you just said, the big business side of football is very stressful. It's very stressful. So for me personally, I always weighed those whatever those equations were, and when it became a point where I was no longer having fun, that fun aspect outweighed the sacrifice you had to give up as far as training, eating the right things, being away from your family, blah blah, whatever it may be. Then it's time to it was time for me to leave. And obviously, I'm not saying that with him. His components might be completely different. His reasonings for not having fun might be unfair treatment or whatever he would call it. But I think that's an internal thing. And at that point in time, I don't think it's nothing, nobody can say. It's nothing that, that's something that he has to deal with and figure out what's best for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's just odd to hear that. I mean, the team's still 2-2. His stats are still great. There's always going to be tough times. I don't care how great you are. I don't care how good your team is. There's going to be times where you're going to have a tremendous amount of adversity. I mean, even in Eli's rookie year, you saw that people didn't know if he was going to be able to survive games, So you've got to – it just seems for a kid with so much going for him, with so much talent, so early in his career, to say things like that, if he really does mean them, Justin, it would concern me.
I mean, from an upper management perspective, yes, it's definitely conservative. You want guys, and obviously I know from what I've seen from him, he loves the game. He's super competitive. You want that, but you also want guys that can hold things in perspective. You want guys that say, okay, right now it might not be my time. Trust me, I went through stretches where I couldn't buy a sack. I couldn't buy a quarterback hit. It was like I was out on the football field and come off the field, and it's like I never played because I didn't make a play. But those times don't last. Tough people do. That's one thing I would tell him. Just continue to work, continue to fight, and football is still obviously what he wants to do. Then his talent level won't allow him to hold in a rut like this for that much longer. The guys over there are smart. Eli is obviously a smart guy. McAdoo is a smart guy. They'll definitely figure out ways to get him more involved in the offense if that's where the unhappiness is coming from. But at the end of the day, man, you have to understand that, it's like you just said, tough times will come, but tough people make it through tough times. And from all of the things that I've learned from Odell, just watching him, I would consider him a tough guy. I would consider him a guy that can, battle through adversity. That's what I would see. But now what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing now makes me question that.
Also begs this question, Justin, before we let you go. If the Giants are 0-4 and he had 4 TDs, would he be having fun?
I don't know. I mean, that's
pretty selfish.
That's very selfish. And honestly, we don't know that as the case. We don't know that as the case. So I won't even touch on that. But like I said, at the end of the day, he has to weigh what is important to him. I don't know what makes him happy. But to the point that you just said, I've also seen him have great games and still blow up on the sideline. So I don't necessarily think it's coming from a selfish point. I won't put that on him yet. I think the fun for him comes from winning. And when they don't win, he can be very, very sour about it.